Hey, what's up, y'all? So it's Edward from GenCon, day 0. Although technically, I'll be honest, I'm cheating. It's technically about 5:15 in the morning on day 1. I was exhausted yesterday, so that's why I'm recording this a few hours late, so sorry about that. All right, so let's recap yesterday. Yesterday actually started, yesterday being Wednesday, day 0, started technically on Tuesday about 11:15 at night. Amanda and I finished recording the episode and she took me to the airport. My plane was delayed, I don't know, about an hour or so because the previous plane to Chicago O'Hare was delayed 6 hours. So we had to wait till they got out of there. Then our plane could come up to to unload, clean, whatever. And we were on our way to Indy. Got to Indy about 5:30, 6 in the morning. Took an Uber to the hotel, staying at the Courtyard Marriott, and everything went really, really smoothly. I couldn't check in, obviously, at 6 in the morning, so I just dropped my bag off. I dropped off the copy of Feudum that I muled back, the pre-production copy, so Mark had that for his demos. And then I went over to the ICC, which is the Indianapolis Convention Center, and started wandering around. And shockingly, there was almost nobody there that wasn't employed there. That's all right. So familiarize myself with it again, because I think it's been 5 years since we've been to GenCon, 4 or 5 years. And it's pretty much exactly how it was. I knew where everything was, cool. Hung out by the press room just in case they decided to let us in and get press passes yesterday. Hung out there for about an hour and nope, nobody around. So found out that we're not going to be able to get press passes until 7 a.m. this morning, which is Thursday morning. So, okay. I went around the registration line. People were already in line for that at 8 in the morning, and it didn't open till noon for a wheel call to be able to pick up your regular passes and all your tickets for events and all that stuff. So I went, sat down on a comfortable looking chair, having essentially not slept at all. And next thing I know, I look up, it's been about 20 minutes. I'm kind of looking around like, do I have everything? And that was really weird, having just fallen asleep kind of in the middle of GenCon, even though there weren't a lot of people around. But then I was like, hey, this is kind of comfortable and I haven't slept. So I set a timer on my phone for 15 minutes, laid my head back against the wall, put my sunglasses on, and did it again, and did that for about 4 times. So I got about an hour-long nap in 15-minute breaks. Believe it or not, that actually was a huge help through the day. Because then about 10:30, 10:45, Clay from Capstone Games called me and said, hey, I'm close, can you come give me a hand? And I said, sure. So he picked me up outside the cathedral over on Capitol Street, which is the side street. Next to GenCon, there's this really pretty church out here, which is actually where I'm outside recording in front of right now. And we went, unloaded all the stuff for the Capstone Games booth, and luckily enough, he had an extra exhibitor pass, so I was able to use that to get in and help him unpack, as well as go around and check out the exhibit hall. I actually did a exhibit hall run through, kind of like just me walking through with my phone on Periscope. I'm hopefully going to be able to do another one later on today, this time on Facebook Live. So hopefully you guys will have seen that, because you're probably not going to hear about it until after the fact. So I apologize about that as well. After I did the going through the hall, I met a bunch of publishers, both new and old friends, so that was kind of nice. Other than that, it was just going through, getting ready for day 1, really. After that, headed back to the hotel, took about an hour-long nap, took a shower. So after the shower, Clay, being my roommate, offered up to take me and everybody else that's going to be working his booth to dinner. We went to a place called High Velocity, which is inside the courtyard, or inside the JW Marriott. It's kind of a sports bar type place. Had a few drinks, had dinner, caught up with some folks. Andrew Kay, who is a patron, he's going to be working the Capstone Games booth as well, so hung out and just kind of chewed the fat with them. And other than that, just basically relaxed and visited with folks. Met a bunch of new people yesterday and just got ready for day one. Woke up this morning at about 4:30 in the morning, cleaned up, got ready to go, very quietly so I didn't wake up Clay. He was like, do not wake me up if you're getting up that early. The reason I wanted to get up that early is press passes. They're gonna start making press passes available. We've already got ours reserved, or by we, I mean me, and we can get them at 7 a.m. However, only the first 90 are they going to allow into the exhibit hall early with the VIGs, the very important gamers, people who pay very large amounts of money to be able to get into the exhibit hall before the rest of the folks for an hour. Whereas for me, I just want to be in there so I can pick up the Lisboa promo from Eagle Griffin, say hi to a few folks, and then be able to film the running of the gamers when they open the doors, and then head over to the Capstone Games booth to be able to meet folks, sell shirts, hand out the promo, and that's that. So yeah, not terribly exciting. It was a very long day yesterday, but really good overall, other than the humidity. Oh my God. Oh, it is miserable here right now. All right, y'all, so that's it. So I am currently outside, as I said earlier, in front of I think it's St. John's Cathedral. I might not be 100% right on that, but sitting right outside in front of it. It's a beautiful morning, a little humid, but not bad. And have my bag in line. There's about, I don't know, a dozen media folks there already ahead of me when I got there at 5:15. And just gonna hang out, wait till 7, and then go get some breakfast, and then go back in to the exhibit hall and get ready for the madness that is sold out GenCon day 1. So, from GenCon, Edward signing off. I'll catch you all later. Bye. Welcome to Daily Diary Day 1 of GenCon. I am very happy to be joined by a good friend, fellow Denverite, Adrian from Mile High Game Guys.
Yeah, thanks for having me, dude.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I figured we spent a lot of time together today.
Right.
Go all the way across the country to hang out, as you do.
Yep.
All right, so the day started about 4:30 this morning, at least it did for me, and pretty close for you?
Yeah, about 5 for me.
Okay. Got together because we had to go get in line for media passes to get in line so we could get there early. It's so stupid.
Get there early to get there early to get there early.
Yeah. They allowed 90 people in for early with the VIGs, the very important gamers. The people who played $500 to get an hour advance on the exhibit hall, right?
People with more money than sense.
Well, and I mean, they get the lounge, they get all this stuff. And if this is their vacation, then good on them. But yeah, no. So anyway, so we had to get in line early enough to make sure we were in the first 90. I got there, I was like 8th, and Adrian got there and it was like 28th, but still plenty.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I had no trouble getting in. There were plenty of the passes left. We got to stand there and talk for a bit with
Efka and Elaine. From No Pun Included.
Taco.
Yep, Taco from SO1KS. God, I'm going to forget people now.
Yeah, there were a few people who came over and talked to us.
Yeah, and there were a whole lot of media. I have no idea who they were.
Oh, man, yeah.
I'm sure a lot of RPG stuff and everything, but yeah, a lot of media were there, for sure. Then they said 7 o'clock, then they said 7:30, then 7:35. Then we got our press passes. Cool. So we went to go get in line with the VIGs and the other media folks for, so this is about 7:45 or so. We had to get in line until 9 when they let us into the exhibit hall.
Yeah.
So what'd you do at that point?
So once we got in the exhibit hall, a couple of my co-hosts and friends from back in Denver had a couple games they wanted me to pick up. Got the new Twilight Imperium 4.
Sure.
So we'll get that to the table.
Which means I'll get that to the table, and yes, win.
Yep. And then there was a game, and I'm drawing a blank on the name of it, one of Renegade's new releases where you're the book collectors.
Ex Libris.
Yes. Got a copy of that for my friend Paul.
Okay.
And that worked out really well because they're pretty much out of that now, I think.
I'm not surprised. That was going to be one of the hotness at GenCon. Surprisingly, at the end of the day, at about 6:20, I was still in the exhibit hall after a long day, and I saw that they still had what looked like hundreds of TI4s still in the Fantasy Flight booth.
Yeah. Now, like, the interesting thing for TI4, when I went over to get it, they had their big line wrapping around, and then they had people coming from the booth and handing out vouchers. So we don't have a copy of the game yet. We have a voucher that is good for one as long as we pick it up tomorrow by 6.
Yeah, when I went by tonight, I asked them about Legend of the Five Ring core sets as well as TI4, and they said it's only ticketed can get them, and if not by Saturday, then it's first come first serve on Saturday. Yep. So there's that. So for me, I just went around kind of networking, talking to publishers, touching base, kind of like what I did on Wednesday, but touching base with other ones that I didn't touch base with on Wednesday. And basically set up meetings as well as exchange business cards, you know, as you do, right? So that was it. And then I went to film the running of the Geeks. Well, no, wait, let me back up. I went to the Eagle Griffin booth because I got to pick up our Lisboa promo. Dude, that thing looks sweet.
They're nice. I'm real glad I have a copy of that.
Yeah, seriously though, I mean, it's all downhill from here. How do you get another promo? I mean, we already have, it's Ian O'Toole and Vital Lacerda. Who else is going to make a promo that's going to top that combo?
Ian O'Toole and Vital Lacerda for Vital Lacerda's next game.
Obviously, or Albin Viard. But yeah, no, I want to try.
Right.
So that was awesome to finally get to hold our first promo. Before I tweeted it out or did anything, I sent a text to Amanda to show her because I feel like that was appropriate.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And then she said she actually cried a little bit when she saw it because that's really cool.
Yeah, that's huge.
So anyway, after that, then I went to go film the running of the Geeks, which is the opening of the doors of GenCon. There are literally thousands of people out there.
Yeah. Have you seen Brandon's tweet, the picture from outside?
No. Oh, yes, I did. It's just a sea of humanity.
It was nuts. I was wondering with them selling out this year if it would feel more crowded than it did last year with 62,000. Oh, yeah. It feels way more crowded than it did last year. Okay. Yeah, for sure.
At the same time, I didn't ever feel, I'll be honest, Saturday at Essen felt way more congested than it did here.
Oh, yeah?
It would take you an hour to go across a couple of halls sometimes. Oh. It was just stupid. So I imagine Saturday's going to be busier.
Yeah, I would think so.
But as it is, yeah, it wasn't bad. I mean, it was busy, but it wasn't, oh my God, will you people get out of my way busy? So, you know, whatever.
Right.
After that, I went to the Capstone Games booth. And I have never in my life experienced a booth that busy. Obviously, I was on the inside of this, not really doing anything with selling the games, which the Climbers was flying off the shelves, as was the Rurs. That was cool to see. But I had 61 shirts I brought with me. I have 14 left.
Oh, wow.
And that was awesome. So I was meeting listeners and viewers, fans, whatever, left and right the entire day, and just couldn't have been better, man. It really, really couldn't have.
Yeah, I know when I stopped by to talk to you for a little bit over there and check out all the stuff Capstone has, I was blown away that, like, I couldn't hardly get a word in with you before somebody else was out there shaking your hand. Like, dude, I love the show. I love the podcast. I love the streams.
It's
people were geeking out. Like, you're right.
It was so cool. And the funny thing, what people don't realize is I get as much out of that, if not more, than they do, because it's people showing appreciation for your hard work.
Yeah.
I mean,
it feels great
when people do it with you. It's the same thing, right? So it never gets old. It never gets, oh yeah, it's another hell no, dude. My goal is to make them feel like the most important person in the world when we're talking. And yeah, dude, it's amazing. It really is.
Because they are. Because without them, then what we're doing doesn't matter.
Exactly, right? Why the hell are we doing this otherwise? So I spent most of the day at the Capstone Games booth. Although I did walk around a little bit. I introduced Efka to a couple of folks, which was cool. He reciprocated and did that for me. I had a really, really interesting conversation with Ted Alsbach, Bezier.
Yeah.
First off, I asked him, so obviously, you know, things are going great. He's like, yeah. I told him congrats on the success, because obviously it seems like he's printing money with the Castles of Mad King Ludwig series and all that. And I asked him, I said, you know, I know it's not going to happen, but I really wish you would go back to create some more Age of Steam maps. I said, but then again, I understand you like money, and these don't make any of that. So I get that. And he said, to be honest with you, kind of burn out a little bit on it. He played so many hundreds of games of Age of Steam. He recently played one. He's like, it doesn't hold the same appeal as it used to.
That's too bad.
It is, but also I can totally understand that, because he made a ton of maps for it. Also talked a lot about Whistle Stop. JC Lawrence actually got some discussion in there from his end, which cracked me up. But yeah, so it was a pretty cool conversation. And actually, he agreed to sit down for one of the conversations with Heavy Cardboard during September. So
nice.
Looking forward to that.
That'll be good.
Other than that, stopped by Tasty Minstrel. I saw Lance, or Undead Viking, and got a big bear hug from him. Yeah, just ran into a bunch of people, and today was all about people and selling shirts and celebrating the promo for me. So how about you? After the hall really opened?
It was kind of the same. I had a couple interviews and stuff. Just checking out some things. Most of the stuff I did today was real laid back. We didn't have our audio equipment. It was coming in the van from Denver that got here like 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Okay, sure.
So we have more of our stuff like that scheduled later. But yeah, this was one of my like laid back walk around, check out the vendor hall. I was like just wandering around and seeing what weird thing I'm going to see over there that I don't expect to see. And then I actually got to go over and I taught a new player, Food Chain Magnate, over on the field at Lucas Oil Stadium.
Which that's surreal, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
oh man,
you're in the middle of a, however many 75,000 seats or whatever
probably
it is,
at least
at where the Indianapolis Colts play, and yeah, let's just play a board game at the 40-yard line. Yeah,
and you walk in through the main doors and you're up looking down into the stadium, and there's just tables all over the place and people playing games. Then we're down there playing. It's like, man, could you imagine if the stands were full cheering for us playing a board game? So we went on a tangent about that, but Food Chain went really well. I narrowly pulled out a second. I was in third for most of the game, and then right at the end got some points.
So you said you taught it, though, right? So #good teacher, you didn't win.
Correct.
All right.
Well, he didn't either, though, because it was a first-time player.
No,
Food Chain.
totally. But at least you didn't win,
right?
Because that's all. That always. I hate when I win a game that I taught new players. I'm like, wow, I obviously did a really poor job. But good news, Uli does not have that problem.
Oh man, you were busting him so bad.
More on that in a little bit.
But he liked it, and that was the big thing, So awesome. Another convert to Splotter and Food Chain. So yeah, it's awesome.
Cool. They also have a museum over there in on the field, and it's because this is the 50th year of GenCon. They have like the guest book from the very first GenCon. And they have like some stuff from early, like rough drafts of D&D before it was published. Yeah. Like, I'm not into D&D, but I respect what it represents. And dude, that's just, that's literally priceless for that, for the hobby.
Yeah, it's huge. Just knowing where this started, in Gary Gygax's basement, and then growing to what it is now and what it represents for gaming, here in North America, that's huge.
Yeah, it's really kind of surreal a little bit.
Yeah, definitely going to take time to go through that museum later.
You and me both. So what else?
So then that was more or less it. Took a little bit of time to grab some food, had a couple drinks, and then came over here to meet up with you guys for this evening.
Cool. So you said you walked around to see what weird stuff or cool stuff that you would see that you always do. Is there anything in particular that stood out?
Nothing that particularly jumped out at me so far. There's still so much more of that vendor hall I need to go check out. I did get to play out The Thing Infection at Outpost 31, which was kind of on my radar just because I love the old 1980s movie The Thing.
Okay.
And this is very much based on that. But overall, it's a pretty standard hidden deduction, social deduction, hidden role game. And that's just not my breadbasket. So
Yeah.
that was probably the neatest thing that I forgot that was here, and they had a demo of it. It's not available yet, but got to play it.
All right. I'm trying to think. I don't think there's anything really, well, that's just bizarre, or wow, hey, I didn't expect, not yet, but tomorrow I'm going to spend more time walking around, so hopefully be able to do that. After the dealer hall closed, I met up with Sweater Mike, so it's like a Denver reunion stuff, which is weird. But so Sweater Mike's been spending the whole summer in Iowa, and so he and I coordinated to have dinner tonight, and we had it at High Velocity, which is the same place I had dinner last night. And Clay joined us, as well as Chris, who is working Capstone Games booth, and a couple of Sweater Mike's friends from Iowa and I think Kentucky. Anyway, had a great dinner, catching up, and just being with friends. I mean, ultimately, that's the most important thing out of all of this. Had really good food. Then moseyed on over to the Courtyard Marriott, which is my hotel, which is where we coordinated with Uli Blenneman, Spielworks, and his buddy Christoph, who they're real good friends with, and Christoph works at the ADC Blackfire booth in Essen for ADC. And Uli was going to show off his new game. And earlier today, Uli was around, and you were around. I introduced you to. And I was like, hey, we're going to play tonight. Would you like to join us? And you were a little indifferent on that.
Yeah, whatever. To say, you completely misread me if you thought I was indifferent. Maybe stunned silence. No.
So you want to talk about the game?
Yeah. So, it's called Kalimala, and you're cloth merchants in like the 14th, 15th century.
This is going to be coming out from ADC Blackfire at Spiel. Okay.
Yeah. And, you know, like you talked about, the main actions you're taking aren't anything revolutionary. It's goods conversion. You're turning wood into ships and buildings and things like that. But really, what's really interesting is how you choose what actions you're going to take. They're laid out on a grid of 9, and you place between them and then take the 2 on the other side. But then the pieces stack. So when you place there and then somebody places on top of you, they take the action, and then you get to take it again.
Yep, everything in the stack then follows through and redoes all the actions. So if you have a couple of discs in a stack, you get to take multiple actions of both things on both sides.
Which led to some really interesting combos and like trying to set up the board so that other people would kick off and give you basically extra turns.
Right.
And then they had a really interesting scoring mechanism where there's basically 15 different scoring tiles that get randomized, the order of them, and every time a stack gets to 4, the bottom one kicks out and activates the next scoring thing in the row. Which
is just area majority of all the cities there in Renaissance Europe.
Yeah, you know what goods you've donated to building the cathedrals or just different things like that. But it was really good.
I was very, very, very pleasantly surprised. Uli actually ran us through a teaching of it. We didn't have time to play it, but a teaching of it at the house. And I was like, oh, dude, that's really kind of pretty clever.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And he was like, don't worry about it. We'll play it while at GenCon. So cool. So we came by the booth today. We coordinated this. The 4 of us played it. Clay came over. And he was like, man, I'm real tired. And next thing you know, 45 minutes, he's still sitting there watching us play it.
Right.
And we're all just cutting up. Uli's talking mad trash to me. So I'm busting back on him. And just an awesome time.
Yeah,
really,
it was
really
great.
Cool. Nice thing about this game, he taught it, 7-8 minutes total. And we were playing and had no questions the entire game.
Yeah, and then it played in an hour and 20 minutes maybe.
Yep, and that's with 3 new players.
Yeah, you know, but it still had all the things we look for in games. It had really interesting decisions and complex points where you're trying to decide which way you want to go, and then later on having to shift on the fly because somebody did something you don't expect.
Yep, which pretty much checks all the boxes.
Right.
So I would say it's a solid midweight game, but it's surprisingly thinky.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, oh, you put a disc here, you take both actions, boom, done. really easy, right? And then trigger any discs that are below you. But yeah, really pleasantly surprised. And one play, so take that with a grain of salt, but even with all the other releases that I played from ADC Blackfire, including Kraftwagen and all the others, personally, I think this is the best game from ADC Blackfire thus far.
I think this is the first one I've played from ADC Blackfire, but you know, if this is indicative of their other work, then yeah, that's awesome. And then hearing you say that you think it's one of the better ones out there for them, yeah, spot on.
Yep, so looking forward to picking up a copy at Essen for sure. Yeah, so after that, then we said goodnight to everybody, came out here to record.
Yeah, here we are.
I'm going to go drool into my pillow. Really excited to be able to sleep in tomorrow.
I think at this point, I'm heading back over to the stadium. They're playing some games over there. I'm not going to be playing anything. Yeah,
I'm looking at my watch. It's 11 o'clock. I'm like, yep, it's con season.
Yep, we go hard at the con. They're playing Wasteland Express over there. The game itself doesn't super interest me, but I've heard pretty cool things, so I'm going to go over there and watch them, check out what they're doing. And then if there's anybody standing around who's not playing anything, I'm going to be pulling the Climbers back out, because that's so far been my favorite game of the con. I've already played it like 4 times today, so.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I've played that game. I think, honestly, that's my most played game of anything, including Crokinole, including anything else, since I've been in this hobby. And I mean, I've been not preaching, but I've been shouting from the rooftops how great the Climbers is for years.
Yeah.
So when Clay picked that up, I was like, this is going to be a monster hit, and it is not
flying off the shelves.
Yeah, it is not disappointing in that respect. So I'm happy to see it both for Clay, but also to get people playing not only is an amazing game, but truly, for me, the best thinky filler on the market, period.
Yeah, and that's something I'm always looking for more of. You know a little bit about my gaming at the bar and stuff, and so finding a game that can play in a reasonable time frame, but still is got some good decisions and is just fun.
And this is a perfect game to be able to play at a brewery or a bar or whatever, because you don't have to be able to converse a whole lot, and the rules are like that.
Yeah. And an errant beer isn't going to mess that game up. It's a bunch of wooden blocks.
Right, seriously. Okay, let me wipe that off.
Right.
All right, problem solved. So, all right, guys, so that is day 1 of 3 here at GenCon. So, Adrian, thanks for joining me.
Dude, thanks for having me. It's been a blast.
Oh, this is awesome, man. I'm having a way better time than I expected to, and it has absolutely shit to do with the games. It has everything to do with the people, man.
There you go. That's what counts.
Yep. All right, guys. I'll catch y'all tomorrow. So, yeah, from GenCon, Edward, Adrian, catch y'all later.
See ya.
All right, y'all. GenCon, day 3 and 4 recap, daily diary type thing. So I'm kind of cheating, so you guys can tell the audio difference, I'm sure, that I'm home now. I'm actually recording this on Monday because of the fact that I was in no condition to record on Friday, and then Saturday I physically just was spent. And so yesterday flew home, So as I said in the weekly look ahead, I was going to record this today and get this out to y'all tonight. So that's exactly what I'm doing. Obviously I have con voice, so bear with me. But if you were with us back at Essen or Essen time last year, you guys heard plenty of interviews where I sounded just like this. So yeah, I try and take care of my voice as best I can, whether it's throat lozenges, lots of water. Life happens, whatever. It's worth it. I'm okay with it. Plus, Amanda doesn't mind it too much. Little Barry White. Hey, baby, what's up? How you doing? Anyway, all right, so Friday recap. So first off, something weird, or at least unlike other major conventions, that at GenCon, they don't allow press in an hour early after that first day. We're not going there to buy stuff and, steal stuff from regular attendees. We're going there to talk to publishers, distributors, stuff like that, meetings, interviews, that type thing. So I find it odd that they have no problem with it at Essen. Origins lets us in a little early. Yeah, anyway, whatever. I gotta say, though, there were considerably less people in the vendor hall or exhibit hall on Friday than there was on Thursday. What I'm thinking happened was that everybody got their hot games and then went and played them on Friday, or at least that's how it seemed. It wasn't like it was dead or anything, but it was considerably less traffic in there and less congested throughout the day, I noticed, which then means there were less folks coming up to the booth to say hi, which to be expected. There were so many that came on Thursday, bought t-shirts. I didn't have that many shirts left. I think I had 16 shirts left after Thursday of the 61 that I brought. So that was amazing. Anyway, so some folks that did stop by the booth, the guys from Board and Dice, Iraq and Eric, actually stopped by the booth, the two guys from Board and Dice. So I got to give you guys a little background, and I can't remember if I touched on this when I talked about it at Essen, but I've been waiting on the follow-up to Pune Imperium, which was what Beer Empire became, for legitimately going on 4 years. And if you go back into all my anticipation geek lists, you see, yep, there it is. Nope, still not happening. Yep, still not happening, da-da-da-da, even though it was in work. Fast forward to Essen last year, and the guys were showing it there at Essen. So I told them how much I dislike the artwork in emails or correspondence, whatever, leading up to it. But, I had my concerns because of the way the game looked. It looked a lot lighter than what I was fearing Beer Empire was supposed to be, based on it being a revision of Pune Imperium. Well, as it was, I didn't actually make it to the guys' booth, the Board and Dice guys, until 6:05 p.m. on Sunday at Essen. Essen ends at 6 p.m. on Sunday. So literally, people are leaving. Essen's spiel's over. That's it. But I finally made it over there, and the other people working the booth were starting to tear down the booth and all this stuff. And they were like, "Hey, let's sit down." And I was like, "Look, just give me the high level overview of the game," and they did. And I gotta say, I felt a lot better about things after the guys took me through the overview of the game. It seemed like there was a lot more meat there than what I had feared had been stripped out. So on that note, the guys were like, "Oh, we really appreciate how much you've been looking forward to this, da-da-da-da-da. We're going to get you the first copy off the presses. It's going to come to heavy cardboard. That's yours." I'm like, "Cool, you don't have to do that, but all right, awesome. I just hope I like the game." Well, the UK Games Expo back in June this year, they were selling the game. Crickets on my end. I didn't say anything. And then I in the weeks leading up to GenCon, I sent a message to Iraq. I was like, "Yeah, whatever happened with that?" He's like, "You're going to make me ruin the surprise." I said, "What surprise?" He said, "Nope. I got something for you at Essen or at GenCon." I said, "Well, I don't know if I'm going to GenCon." Ends up, obviously, I was going. So they said they were going to come by the booth. Okay. They came by the booth, and they handed me a open copy of Beer Empire. The reason it was open, they had one of their artists that had done work on one of their other games draw a caricature of Amanda and I inside the lid of the box. And so it's now a one-of-a-kind thing, whatever. I know some people are worried about our relationship with publishers or designers or whatever, and whether or not we're going to be able to continue to be fair, honest, and thorough in our reviews of games. But if you listen to the show, you know how much we will hammer anything that's wrong with the game or what we perceive as quote unquote wrong with the game. So that said, I don't really genuinely fear it myself. And I actually told the guys, I said, man, it's really going to suck if I hate this game. They laughed, had a good time, whatever. So that was really cool. That was really thoughtful of the guys and really appreciated that. So long story for that, I realized, but that was a cool moment for me there at the booth. Then after that, I had some meetings set up, publishers and with distributor. Then after that, folks started meeting, congregating at the Capstone Games booth for the last second impromptu heavy cardboard meetup. Grabbed a bunch of folks. We went outside Hall J, grabbed some more folks, went further up the road a piece because I forgot St. John's Cathedral, or the church, isn't opposite Hall J like I said it was. Oops, my bad. Anyway, we found a bunch of... Oh, and by the way, there's a guy, a fan of the show, listener, viewer, by the name of Ryan, who was there with me for the meetup. And somewhere between there and where we went, we lost him. So Ryan, if you're hearing this, I'm sorry. I don't know where you went. I hope you're alive and all is well. You were missed. So there was a herd of elephants walking through downtown Indy, heading over to the Indy City Market, which closes at 9 o'clock. We got there, I don't know, just before 7, call it 6:45 or so. We go in there, and it's very similar to kind of North Market over at Origins. Awesome. However, all the food vendors were closed. So wait a minute. You're open till 9, but all but 1 or 2 of the food vendors is closed? Really? Really? Man, that was frustrating. So then we had to figure out where the hell to go, because, don't know. Brandon from Brawlin' Brothers was heading our way, so we were kind of stalling, waiting for him to show up, and there were some other people. The guys from Board Game Anonymous joined us, Adrian from Mile High Game Guys, and a whole bunch of listeners, viewers joined us. We ended up deciding on a place called, oh shoot, I can't think of the name. It's a Scottish bar, McGarvin, no. Anyway, Mac somethings, and we ended up going there. And it started out, yeah, we need table for 15. Became like 25 by the end of it, and we didn't have room. So we ended up having a bunch of different tables, whatever. And then hung out for drinks after food. The food was really tasty, and then the drinks were flowing well. Let's put it that way. A lot of the folks kind of went on their own way or whatever, but there were a handful of us that stuck it out. We were playing. I literally have no idea what it's a Haba game. You have a bunch of sticks that have colors on both ends. You pull it out, you make a bird's nest. You have to put eggs on it. Perfect kids game or bar game while you're drinking. So that was a lot of fun. There was a bar crawl going on at some point throughout that. Anyway, place ended up dead. And we were like, okay, the night's not over. We got to go somewhere. So we leave. We go walking around downtown, come across this real swanky jazz bar and wine bar. And I'm like, yeah, not really feeling the vibe here. But I went up to the bar, the doorman, and I was like, hey, do you know of something? A place that's, let's say, maybe a little bit more rowdy. He kind of chuckled and he said, yeah, go down to the Dancing Girl and you'll find some down there. We were like, Dancing Girl. Okay. He pointed. So we just walked that way. Okay, cool. And there was a Dancing Girl, like an LED, like swaying back and forth. And it's one of the art pieces that's there on the street. Okay. So it really had a feel for like a, like, this might sound disparaging. It's not meant that way, but like a Eurotrash just feel to it or whatever. And we were like, and it wasn't like in front of a bar or anything. It was just on the corner, as a display. Okay. So we just kept walking and we came across this beer hall. So over to the right, we go in, we go down some steps, and it looks like something that just you would expect to find a beer hall in Germany. Had a big bar, not a ton of people in there. However, you could hear a lot of people. So we ordered drinks, and it was, at this point, it was me, the Board and Dice guys, John, and some other guys. And then after we got drinks, we headed upstairs, and oh my, we headed back up a few steps, and there's about 2,000 people out there in this beer garden. They had some sort of like German polka mute band going, and it was total non-GenCon. It was just normal indie folk. Not that we're, you know what I mean, whatever. It's called the Raskeller, not to be confused with the table maker. But anyway, went up there and we were like, yeah, we found the place to be. 11 o'clock though, apparently there's a noise ordinance that goes on, and whoop, music stops at 11, place starts emptying out, and that was the end of that. So then we start heading back to one of the guys' cars, and we can't, now, I've seen all kinds of different busking on city streets and everything, but this was a new one to me, and it was, I would say, my favorite busking that I've ever seen in my entire life. There were 5 kids out there, and by kids, I mean maybe high school, maybe early college age, out there, all with standing on pieces of plywood, tap dancing. They all had tap shoes on, and all 5 of them were up there. It was almost like challenging each other, and it was amazing to watch. I actually took video of it, and yeah, I stood there for like 10 minutes watching these kids tap dance, because that's a skill I always was fascinated with, and if I had it to do over, I would have loved to have picked up. Anyway, threw them a couple bucks, cool. And then all of us that we were feeling no pain at this point. Me, the Board and Dice, the Polish crew, and the guys, we headed over. Whatever, long story short, we got a ride back to the hotel, and yeah, that was the end of Friday. It ended, I don't know, I want to say 2 in the morning or so. It was late. So, went to sleep, and I had an early morning because I had a meeting at 9:30. So, woke up, had no problem getting up, but balance wasn't so hot, let me tell you, on Saturday. So, like I said, I had an early meeting. That went well, and oh my, was the whole busy. Saturday, to be expected. Saturday is always the busiest day at any con that you go to, because you have families that, they work during the day, during the week or whatever, so folks come in on Saturdays to the vendor hall and everything. It was swamped in there. It was fantastic. Met a ton more listeners and viewers. And then one thing that I found really interesting that I really wasn't prepared for, and I'm just looking at this, just shaking my head. So apparently on Thursday, Fantasy Flight gives vouchers for whatever their hotness is. So in this case, I think it was Legend of the 5-Ring Core Set and TI4. And you had to pick it up by close of business on Friday. And if you don't, it's first come, first serve come Saturday. So I walked into the hall maybe 10 minutes after it opened and just was shaking my head laughing at how long. I mean, these people were planning on waiting in line for hours, it looked like, to be able to get those on the first come, first serve. And I was just like, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. It's not like it's exclusive. It's just, if you had to get it first, I guess that was your thing. Don't get me wrong, if that's your thing, you really wanted it, go for it. I'm just saying, for me, I was like, no. So there's that. Then after the hall closed, I went around, said my goodbyes, because that was going to be my last day. I had no interest in staying for Sunday anyway, because Sunday at GenCon tends to be it's good if you want a lot of deals, because publishers don't want to haul this stuff back. They don't want to have to mail it. So like Cool Stuff has a monster booth there. We had bought a bunch of stuff on sale the Sunday of the first time we went 5 years ago or so. However, other than that, yeah, just no interest in I had done all that I could do anyways on Saturday as far as meeting folks as well as networking and stuff for the show. So come that point, I was dead on my feet, just exhausted. However, it was really nice. I met up with John, Steve, and some other dude outside. I was going to go to Fogo de Chao kind of as a celebratory, but literally I would have gone to dinner by myself other than Steve. Steve was like, yeah, I'm down. Called John, and I was like, hey, what are y'all doing? He's like, I blew a lot of money on games. I don't want to go somewhere like that. So I was like, we're not tied to it. We go somewhere else. So we went to a pizza joint in town, off the beaten path again, and really tasty pizza, really good pizza. It was a portobello mushroom, and the crust was delicious. I just wish I could think of the name. I'm sure when John hears this, he's going to tell me the name. But anyway, after that, we went and got some froyo, and then headed back towards the ICC. The guys were going to go game, but I was spent. I was wiped. So I said my goodbyes to everybody then. I was supposed to meet Clay and Uli for another prototype, but when I went there, I think they were at some other meetup or something, Secret Cabal, something or other. So they weren't there. So I just said, okay, I'm good with that. I went up to the room and luckily remembered to call Amanda. And I say luckily because I was out. I was spent. So called her and basically was drooling into my pillow while talking to her. I was so tired. So I went to sleep. I had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to be able to catch my Uber, 4:30 to head out. So made it home on Sunday. Completely uneventful flight. That was awesome. Went to breakfast with Amanda. Went home. Got to rest a little bit. Did the weekly look ahead and stuff here. And then Rolf Sagel and his wife Yolanda, who he is half the design team of Wildcatters that is getting redone by Capstone for Essen. He was here in the States. He actually was there at GenCon. They came to Denver. They came over to the house, checked out HCHQ. That was cool, although they were both a bit under the weather. So we didn't go to dinner or anything like we planned or sit down for an interview. He just wasn't up for it, and I wasn't going to force it. Plus, we're going to see him at Essen, so no big deal. No harm, no foul. And that was pretty much it. That was GenCon for me. So in total, I would say well in excess of 300 folks I met that came up to the booth. Hey, big fan of the podcast or YouTube streams or whatever. That was amazing. Truly, that right there, if nothing else happened at GenCon, that made the trip worthwhile. It was awesome to meet all y'all that were there and those that weren't. Truly, that was the highlight of my con. Had a nice benefit to having networked with a bunch of companies that we didn't have any kind of relationship with, so that was cool to always touch base with that and touch base with others that we had, and meeting some media folk that we'd never met, like Hunter and Crone. I got to meet Crone. That was cool because I wore his shirt. I think it was on the Climbers live stream. Meeple Pete had given me a shirt of theirs, so I was like, yeah, I'll wear it. So it was cool to meet them. Saw Efka and Elaine, Paul Grogan, a whole host of Sean from Dukes of Dice. That was actually a really, really interesting, long conversation he and I had, so that was really cool. I really enjoyed that. A number of other folks. I don't want to try and list everybody because I'll forget, and then, yeah, you know how that works. Anyway, last but not least, we made a little survey for 6 questions for folks that, hey, give us some constructive, feedback. We've had over 260 responses so far. I mean, yes, we're giving away 5 things for people to give their feedback, or not giving them away for those that want to stay anonymous. But the feedback's been amazing so far. So if you're interested in doing that, heavycardboard.com/survey. And I think that's open for another week and a half, thereabouts, maybe close to 2 weeks. It says on the site. I'm tired. You guys can check that out. Other than that, yeah, seriously, meeting folks and the networking and just being around the geek culture and seeing some of the really amazing cosplay and the less than amazing cosplay from some folks, and just yeah, it was a lot of fun, exhausting, and I can't wait to do it again next year. We definitely got to go back, even if a lot of the games were not in our wheelhouse. Well, I wasn't going to mention this, but I'm going to say this one thing, and you guys can listen to the rest on Thursday. Game of the Con, the best game that I saw, experienced, anything. On Friday, I had a demo for a game called The City of Big Shoulders. It's not going to be out until late next year. Far and away, the best game that I saw or experienced at GenCon. If you want more details on that, listen to the episode on Thursday when we talk about it in the GenCon recap. Other than that, that's all I got, guys. You can hear my voice. I need to give it a rest. Thanks, everybody, at watching. Give us feedback if you guys like these daily diaries. And I promise for Essen, it will be daily, like that day, because Amanda will be there with me. So that'll help. All right. So I guess if we can put the 2017 GenCon in the books. It was amazing. I'm glad I got to go. It was cool to experience, but I'm also really excited to have 8 weeks of no con. All the content, all the time. So on behalf of Amanda, I'm Edward. Thanks for listening, y'all. Check out the episode on Thursday. Catch y'all later. Bye.